Aloha and welcome back. This is part 2 of home inspections and why they're so important. I'm Neaulani.kuamoo-peck with my colleague
Karen.schleif.
and we have with us Fierros from Gray Owl, and he's going to tell you some interesting stories about what can come up from a home inspection.
Yeah, definitely. I've got many stories. Obviously, I've inspected literally hundreds of houses. And I had a recent client, of course there's all kinds of stories, but a recent client that had, was buying a relatively large house. It was a multi-generational type of house, which of course is very common here in Hawaii.
Yes.
So kind of different time periods of when, portions of the house were built. And so, so, he was really trying to maximize the potential rental income, right? Like he wanted to be able to create that option for himself. And so, of course, looking at multi-generational houses.
Sure.
But this particular house had different roofing types and, kind of with that created some different issues with drainage. And it was one of those things where he just wasn't aware of the potential pitfalls of that. So he hired me I hear back from him about 2 weeks after we do this initial inspection, and he's got another. I'm like, hey, is this the same? This is the same buyer. Yeah, I've already. It's another house. Yes, another house, and I'm like, hey, well, what happened? He's like, well, I'm so thankful that you came out and did an evaluation of the house because there's a lot of issues there. I wasn't anticipating that. It was an expense that I wasn't ready to take on. So I really want to move forward with a different property. And so, it's incredibly grateful, of course, and that's satisfying to me, too, to be able to provide additional information to the homeowner just to help them make an informed decision. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that wasn't the end of that story because that second house that I did for him, this was probably in worse shape, but I get a call from him maybe about 3 weeks after that.
Wow.
Hey, I need you to come out and do a third inspection for me. I'm backed out of the last deal. That one was probably worse condition.
Oh my goodness.
So the last one we did for him, much better shape. Third time was a charm. He closed on that one. But
wow.
Needless to say, he was grateful. I'm glad to be able to provide some service to him because it was a lot of question marks for those houses that he just wasn't aware of.
What's interesting is that what Steve is talking about is the same client with 3 different properties. Backed out of the first 2 because of issues that had happened that he was able to bring up during the evaluation and inspection, and ended up with a 3rd one, which actually worked out better. But that's something a lot of times buyers do not realize, and that is that because home inspections are important, they can make or break the transaction. So another reason why we make sure that we tell all our clients to have it professionally done is for that fact that it can make or break a transaction. And as a buyer, you do have the right to back out of something if it's just more than you want to handle. And you can move on. A lot of buyers don't know that. They think, oh, I'm stuck with this one. I have no choice. So another reason to bring in a professional. Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a huge potential bargaining chip too, right? So
Exactly.
We've had clients. I don't always get it kind of after the fact, but I know that I've had agents. Hey, you know what? I'm glad that we have some good information. This is going to help us go back to the seller for a potential bargaining point to be able to maybe get some credits or get some repairs, so that the buyers can have a nice house at close, or at least have the resources to be able to to kind of tackle some of the issues that can come up.
That's where the real estate agent comes in, because that's where the negotiations come in. A lot of times the homeowner or the potential homeowner doesn't really know what goes on behind the scenes. But your agent does have those skills to negotiate for you for those credits or for the repairs, and also to make sure that you get those repairs and what will happen if they don't do it. And so we make sure that's all in the contract in writing so that you're protected.
So we've got one more part that we'd like to present to you. We're going to wrap up in part 2 today. And on part 3, we'd like to point out the advantages to the sellers. All this time we've been talking about advantages to the buyers. So sellers, hang in there, come on back. Again, please leave your comments down below. Tell us more about what you would like to know. Thank you, Steve, for joining us today. Aloha!